Welcome back to the State and Local Sports Show, Episode 6. We're here with Mark Tennis from CalHighSports.com, co-founder and editor. And this week, we're going to start off talking about a little bit of football offense. Last week, Mark correctly predicted Stagg would beat McNair in what could be a battle for an SJAA title. I was wrong. What we did both expect, though, was a ton of offense. 106 points, over 1,100 yards combined, 0 punts, including McNair going for it on a 4th and 2 from its own 9, which I thought was crazy, but they got it. And so Stagg, in prime position in the SJAA, but it's kind of just a sign of the times, especially in leagues like the SJAA, just offense. I mean, some of their best offensive players are in the secondary doing things on defense, but it seems like in a lot of football, especially on the West Coast, guys are flocking to the offensive side of the ball. It hasn't always been that way. You see it in the Pac-12 now. You have a longer perspective than I do on high school football. How have you seen that kind of progress over the years to develop into these track meet kind of games now?
Well, it's the development of the spread offense is really, Thomas, what it's all about. And a lot of these teams run the spread the field out, throw it all over the yard, get a lot of points. And then if there's two teams doing it, boy, it really adds up. The other thing I would mention is there's always been a lot of really wild games just in this area, in the Stockton area. We've had a 61-58 game in the Stockton area. Tracy once scored 60 points and lost in a game. I think they lost 66-60. So there's several instances where we've had games like this in the past locally. And I have no idea why, because Tracy doesn't run the spread. But there's been just a lot of wild games in the area over the last 5 to 10 years.
You mentioned Tracy losing with 60 points. McNair, in both of their losses this year now, they've scored 50 points, which has to be frustrating to the offense a little bit. For McNair, though, Darian Grimm tied the regular season California mark with 25 touchdown catches. He has 3 more regular season games to go. I think he's probably going to get it. And not to be forgotten is senior quarterback Osai Brown, 36 touchdowns through 7 games. Now, Osai is not going to catch Jake Browning of Folsom for either regular season or postseason records. Grimm has a chance at Cole Thompson of Folsom, who has 34 touchdowns as the whole season record, including the playoffs, which helped because Folsom played 6 extra playoff games last year. Have you seen any quarterback wide receiver duos? Obviously Folsom last year, but in this area like Brown and Grimm, it seems like a pretty rarefied kind of air.
No, there isn't anybody that in this area that comes really close. I think the previous record for this area is just a 21. Brian Morris from Weston Ranch, I believe, had 21 touchdown catches in the season.
I just saw his name in your Cal Sports record book.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, I did an item, a column this week on all the names of local players who are in the book. Since Darian is now in the book and Osai Brown's now in the book, well, people might want to wonder who's actually in the book. Well, here's your answers. Here's everyone that's in it. Everyone from Brandon Parker of Lincoln, who once had 4 interceptions in a quarter, which is ties for the state record. So I just went through the book and get a little primer on everybody who's actually in the book from around here.
That's awesome. I know we're all looking forward to reading that. Now, in the college ranks this weekend, I know you got to focus on high school stuff. I was watching the end of the Michigan State-Michigan game with my girlfriend and my parents. Everyone's kind of hardly paying attention because it's a punt. You think the game's going to end, and all of a sudden it just breaks loose. I mean, not only does the punter bobble the snap, he gets hit in the perfect way so that the ball floats into the hands of the Michigan State player, who now has hip surgery after getting tackled. But an amazing win. And that makes me think of the plays that as a sports reporter you cover on a smaller scale. For you, I know, thinking back down to your days in Los Angeles, you've seen some crazy plays like that to win games as well.
I saw one that was almost exactly the same. It was in the LA City championship game, and that's a big deal down in LA City, and that was at the Coliseum. And it was Dorsey was playing Taft of Woodland Hills. And Taft had some really good players. One of them was Steve Smith, who played in the Super Bowl for the New York Giants. But Taft was ahead, and it was the same situation. About 10 seconds left in the game. There's not enough time for the punter just to run around and kill the clock. There's not enough. The point differential was such that he couldn't run back and take a safety. They had to punt the ball. And in this particular case, he didn't bobble the snap, but some Dorsey players rushed in, blocked the kick, and the ball was rolling around. The clock's rolling down towards 0. The clock hits 0, and the Dorsey kid falls on the ball in the end zone. Dorsey wins the game and the LA City championship on that one play. So that's the one that I remember very similarly to that Michigan play.
That's pretty incredible. Last year, not to the same amount of insanity, but one of the crazier games I've seen was St. Mary's Grant in the finals last year. I mean, it was so heated on both sides. I think I saw 8 or 9 penalty flags on the field at once. Dewey Cotton, who's now a junior, had what might have been the game-winning or tying touchdown. He extended for the pylon. They called him short. Max Preps did some really crisp photos where he touched the pylon and added this whole other layer to the game. At the end of the game, St. Mary's at the 50 had a 44-yard pass down to the 6, and I think there were at least 3 penalties. They just wobbled back and forth inside the 10, and eventually Grant held on. I wasn't there last year, but Tracy at Granite Bay in the semifinals, to get the game to overtime, Tracy coach Matt Strout used all 3 of his timeouts to ice the kicker. And I think the first 2 tries, the kicker made it. The third time, he didn't even kick the ball because he knew the timeout was coming, and then he shanked the last one. So, I mean, you see that NFL Sunday almost every week or every few weeks, and it never works, but it worked in a high school game, understandably so. I wasn't there to see that one, but wish I had been. And thanks for joining us again this week. You go to CalHighSports.com. Their Gold Club membership, a great deal. Less than $20 a year, less than $2 a month. You get state record books, rankings, all the insider info. Mark, thanks for joining us again, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Thomas. My pleasure.